Miley, the Friendly Podcast Guide. I'm here to help you find a podcast you'll love. Every week, I have 2 episodes. In the first episode, I share information about a specific podcast. It usually includes an interview with the podcast host, and those episodes are about 15 minutes long. The second episode is me sharing my podcast recommendations or more personal things like what I'm learning from making a podcast or things that are saving my life right now. Today, I'm sharing a list of 5 different podcasts that can help you lean into the coziness as we wrap up winter and head into the still sometimes cold and dreary beginning of spring. I shared this in an earlier episode this month, but this year I tried really hard to lean into the coziness of winter instead of just pining for spring. And for the most part, it worked. Thanks in part to listening to cozy podcasts. So here are 5 podcasts that can help you feel cozy. The first cozy podcast is called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. This podcast brings all of the cozy feels as the hosts dive into a dearly beloved text and make it even more special because of the way they treat those lovely books. If you like Harry Potter at all, you should definitely check out this podcast. Hosts Vanessa Zoltan and Matt Potts describe the show like this. Join us as we bring thought, reflection, and laughter to Harry Potter, not just as novels, but as instructive and inspirational texts that will teach us about our own lives. Relive the magic chapter by chapter as we explore themes such as commitment, revenge, and forgiveness. So this podcast is actually in its second round of reading the Harry Potter series. The first reading was done by Vanessa and another host, Casper ter Kuile. So you have the option of starting at the very beginning with Vanessa and Casper as the hosts. That episode is called Commitment, The Boy Who Lived, Book 1, Chapter 1. Or you can start with the second round with Vanessa and Matt giving you Harry Potter insights in the episode called Frustration, The Boy Who Lived, Book 1, Chapter 1. The next podcast is literally called All Things Cozy. The entire focus of this podcast is coziness, so it fits the bill so perfectly that I couldn't not include it. The 2 hosts have a fabulous rapport that also adds to the cozy atmosphere of their show. Their friendship and genuine desire to bring more coziness into the world is the perfect way to bring some cozy into your life. If you want to get a feel for the vibe of All Things Cozy and hear Jillian and Matt laugh with and at each other, listen to the episode they did with me on the Friendly Podcast Guide. I loved being able to finally meet them virtually. It was a lot of fun to hear about how the podcast got started and to really feel how much Jillian and Matt care about each other and their listeners. Before I tell you about the other cozy podcasts, we're going to take a quick break to talk about my guide to kid podcasts. One of my favorite parenting tools is kid podcasts. I use them when I'm running errands with the kiddos to keep them from complaining the whole time, or when I need a mom break, I'll just grab an easy activity like coloring pages or a sensory bin, turn on a kid podcast, and the kids will be entertained for at least half an hour. I know that kid podcasts would help you in your life too, which is why I made a guide to kid podcasts. There are 8 different categories ranging from science to mindfulness to audio drama, with at least 3 podcasts in each category. There are 27 different podcasts in total on the guide. I've listened to each of the podcasts on this guide, so I can attest to them being kid-friendly. And I put my email at the bottom of the guide so that if you try a couple with your kids and none of them are a good fit, you can email me and I will personally help you find a kid podcast that works for your littles and you. You can grab this guide at the link in the show notes. Okay, back to the coziness. Best Friend Energy is the next cozy podcast on my list. You know how you always feel comfortable and you fall into your normal rhythms of talking and acting when you're around your best friend? That's exactly how this podcast feels. Hosts Clea and Joanna describe their show like this. One of us is Clea and the other is Joanna. Our friendship and business began with a single text and ended with us organizing celebrity homes, traveling the world, and laughing every step of the way. You might know us from the hit Netflix series Get Organized with the Home Edit, but we've got a lot more to talk about. Real life isn't always so easy to organize. We get it, we live it, and we want to talk about it. I would recommend starting with the episode called Team Miley Cyrus on this one. It introduces Clea and Joanna as people and as the best friends they are really well. The next cozy podcast is called Constant Wonder. Learning about volcanoes, echolocation, and pollinators may not sound very cozy on the surface, but the way this podcast is beautifully produced with narration, music, and interviews seamlessly woven together makes it quite cozy. Also, a lot of the episodes have to do with nature, and I find the sounds of nature to almost always make me feel cozy. Host Marcus Smith describes his show like this: "Stay in tune with our phenomenal world. Join me for explorations of hidden marvels in nature, forgotten heroes of history, and life stories that both humble and inspire." An episode that doesn't sound very cozy but actually was quite cozy is called The Real Batman. You learn about echolocation in a way that makes you feel safe and capable, with cool stories, music, and sound that makes the episode interesting in a comforting way. The last cozy podcast on today's list is The Upside with Callie and Jeff. Gratitude, genuine positivity, and community are all innately cozy, and those are all things that Callie and Jeff, the hosts of The Upside, infuse into their show every day. This is how they describe their show. The show is a real and honest take on day-to-day life, always finding humor in the silly and serious things going on, and always finding the upside in every situation. Callie and Jeff promote practicing gratitude as a way of life. They will make you laugh every single day, and they consider every person who listens part of their family. I would start with the first episode, which is called The First One. It talks about who this podcast is for, what led to the launch of this podcast, and gives you a good feel for the rapport between Callie and Jeff. Okay, those are 5 cozy podcasts that can help you lean into the cozy of the transition from the end of winter to the beginning of spring. Are there any other cozy podcasts I need to add to this list in this sometimes kind of bleak time of year? Let me know on the post all about this episode on my Instagram. Also, if you have any ideas on what I should call these Thursday episodes, quite honestly, I'm not sure if I need to name them, but I'm still stuck with Andy's Corner or Andy's Musings, and I don't love either of those, so maybe I just don't name it. If you have a good name idea, please DM me or send me an email. I'm open to any and all ideas. Talk to you soon.